Over the past few years, I've been on a quest to find the best companies to purchase refurbished products from, and also which ones aren't so good. I bought a supposedly refurbished NES from DK Oldies, and honestly I wasn't that impressed, so I decided to try Lukie Games to see what their refurbished NES consoles look like. If you haven't seen my video about the DK Oldies refurbished NES, I'll put a link for that video at the end of this video so you can go check it out. So I paid $234 for all of this stuff, which I feel like really isn't too bad of a deal as long as it's what they say it is. Overall, I generally don't have a problem with the price these companies are charging as long as they're honest with what they're listing it at and they send out exactly what you buy. Different people value things differently depending on their experiences and what they're looking for, so as long as they're advertising things honestly, I don't really have a problem with the price, even if the price to me seems a little bit high. That all being said, let's start by taking a look at this game and see if it was opened and if they did any cleaning on the pins. After that, we'll plug the game into the NES and see if the NES even works. Normally I'd just put this thing in and test it out, but if the game's dirty, I don't want to necessarily put it into the NES, so I want to check this game first and make sure the pins are nice and clean. These actually look, I wonder if these are brand new screws. I wouldn't think they'd go through all the trouble of putting brand new screws in, but you never know. Okay, what do we got? I mean, the pins definitely haven't been cleaned, it doesn't look like, but they also don't look as dirty as I do see some. I'm gonna go ahead and get these clean just to make sure that this cartridge is clean for testing in the NES. Now in order to clean this, I'm just gonna be using a little bit of Deoxit D100L and some magic eraser. Depending on who you talk to, this is a horrible way to clean it or a great way to clean it. But I know for me, I've used it a number of times before and it works really good. Magic eraser is a little bit abrasive, so it can wear off some of the coating on these pins. So you just want to use it sparingly if you have to use it. Now I've seen a lot of people commenting that when you use Deoxit, you can actually just leave it on and that will help keep the pins clean on both the game cartridge and the console. So what I'm going to do is clean all of this off right now because that does have residue from the magic eraser. So I'm going to get all that off, and then we will add a little bit of Deoxit back on the pins. And hopefully that will keep these clean long term and also hopefully clean up the pins on the inside of the console, which I'll be looking at that in a minute to see how those pins look. Okay, that's pretty good for that side. Now let's do the other side. Okay, now that that's done, just gonna add a tiny bit of Deoxit right there, right there. I'm going to take my finger and just rub it on the pins. Just gives it a little bit of a coating. I hope this is what you're supposed to do. I've never done this before, so. Okay, and there we go. Let's get it back in, and then we'll take a look at the NES console itself. And the outside of this looks honestly pretty good. Got a little bit of discoloration going on down here. Not sure what, oh, that kind of just comes off. I feel like maybe that's, maybe they put some cleaner on this. Yeah, they must have used some sort of cleaner on it because it's just rubbing off just with my fingers. Granted, my fingers have a little bit of that Deoxit left over. But other than that, we do have an original looking game cover, which is cool. Yeah, and we got some more of this marking on it, which, I mean, kind of bugs me, but honestly, at least this tells me they probably at least did something, so I would much rather know that they actually did something, like they tried to clean it, even if there's a little bit of residue left behind. I don't actually mind that. Okay, this looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't see any issues here. So far, this is looking pretty good. Let's get it plugged in and start it up and see if it works and if it plays this game we just cleaned. Let's put the game in. See how hard it is to push in. It's kind of hard, not too bad. Okay, is it gonna power on? Up. And gray screen. Let's do a reset. Okay, so far it's not playing, but let's see if we push it back in again, push it down. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. That's good news. I'm gonna connect this controller, see if the controller works for the game, and then we'll open up the controller and see what the inside looks like. The outside, I mean, it looks like it has been cleaned. It is discolored a decent amount, which, I mean, isn't the best, but it's also not the worst. Let's see if it works, though. Oh. We got something rattling around on the inside. Okay, and it does work so far. Okay, so far the controller's working fine. It does have something rattling around in there though, so let's take it apart and see what it is. We just got 6 Phillips screws on the back. And that's all it takes to get into this one. Oh, what do we have here? So we got a major problem on this screw. I bet that's what's rattling around in there. Okay, and the back comes off. Yep, that is what's rattling around. Got a little locating pin in there. That guy right there. And then this piece right here is just broken off from the bottom case. Let's have a look at the rest of this. See what it looks like. Check these button pads. That's a great way to tell how dirty things are in here. Okay. So not too bad. They've definitely not been cleaned, but overall, they're not in too bad a condition. There is some sort of like, I don't know, something on here. So I am going to clean it off because I've already got it opened up. I might as well. I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe just a little bit of flux or something. Overall, though, not really too bad. I'm just going to give these button pads a quick cleaning. Let's check the buttons real quick. I forgot to do that. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. So now I'm going to get this one back together. Let's take a look at the other one. Oh, and to get this screw post off, I'm going to hold one side with pliers while I remove this screw with my screwdriver from the other side. Just like that. Oh, just like... You just ruined my scene, you stupid screw. Just like that. Now if I decide I want to fix this, I can super glue this piece down to this piece, and then hopefully that will last a long time. Okay, I can't do all this taking it apart. I can't just put it back together with this piece being broken off. So let's go ahead and just fix this up real quick. That's not how it goes. It goes like this. And that's going to take a while to dry, so I'm just going to set this one aside and we'll take a look at the other controller now. Now this second controller is definitely in pretty good condition. Nothing rattling around in this one. Let's open it up and see what it looks like inside. And here's the inside. And this one, the board looks pretty good. Got a little bit of gunk on the back of this button pad, but really actually pretty clean overall. Yeah, a little bit of dirt, but not bad at all. So this one's in pretty good condition. I'm just going to give this a quick cleaning. Then what we've all been waiting for, I'm going to open up this console and see if it was refurbished and see if I can figure out what exactly they did. And just as I say that, I found something else interesting. If you look in the light here, you can actually see where it looks like something has kind of been like wiped along here. So I think maybe somebody, I don't know if it was Lukie Games, but it seems like maybe somebody actually wiped this board off, which honestly, that's pretty impressive based on some of the other refurbished items that I've bought in the past. Okay, now we'll open up the console and see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, we're not missing anything so far. And the inside of the top case, we've got a little bit of, I feel like maybe that's like cleaner overspray or something. If we look right down in the corner here, it looks like you can see where somebody wiped this off, maybe. So I think we might have one that somebody actually wiped out the inside. I can't say for sure though, I'm not totally 100% sure on that. Okay, it does look like we have all the parts inside. So the metal shield is here, all the screws are here. So that's all good so far. Let's take this metal shield off and get down to the 72 pin. So this screw is actually not screwed down all the way. That's interesting. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be, but not a big deal. Like it still works fine and everything. It's just kind of weird that it's not screwed down all the way. Okay, and now this top plate should be able to come off, and it can. Now if we look right here, we can see where it looks like somebody has sprayed something in here to clean this off, which, I mean, that's fine. At least it shows they actually cleaned something. That's good. Now let's get these 6 screws out so we can check out the 72 pin. One thing I don't like is these screws, this screw and the one on the other side, it's totally stripped out, so you can't actually tighten them down. That's not like a huge deal, but at the same time, it's just, it does kind of bug me. I don't like it if you can't screw it all the way down. And you can see on this screw right here where it has kind of taken out the threads along with the screw. And sort of same on this one. And now we can get to the 72 pin and remove it, maybe, from the board. Woo, that is tight. I mean, that's mostly good. That means it should be a nice connection on there. Okay, and here we go. I'm gonna get my pick and test the strength of these and see if they feel like they're as strong as the original. Also, just as a note, the lockout chip on this NES is fully intact. It has not been disabled. Okay, and just check these with my pick. I mean, these feel decently strong. I feel like they don't really feel as strong as like the original, I don't think, but they definitely feel stronger than some of the others that I've seen that are definitely not original. They do seem to bend up fairly easily, but I think this is probably one of the better quality reproductions. I mean, I think, I can't say for sure. And while I have this apart, I'm just gonna bend all these up. These actually are pretty easy to bend, honestly. I prefer just the original 72 pin unless there's some major issue with it. It did work when we started it up and put a game in it, so at the same time, I guess I can't really complain too much. This one doesn't really have any markings other than made in Taiwan on it. And I mean, I feel like it has a different manufacturing process or a newer one than the originals. So, I mean, you can see where this part of the plastic has not been trimmed off right there. And then the same thing right here. So I'm pretty sure this is a reproduction, and generally speaking, the reproductions just aren't as good or as strong as the originals. But like I said, this one at least did work when I started it up. So that's better than some other refurbished consoles that we've taken a look at in the past. Let's get this 72 pin back on. I do want to test it with one more game. I'm going to use the game that I got in the DK Oldies refurbished NES bundle that I cleaned very carefully. So I'll use that game since I know it's clean, and we'll test it one more time after I get it back together. So here you can see the issue that they were having with the screws. The screws, I'm not sure what happened, if they got them misthreaded or what, but something happened, so they're just kind of like pulling out the threads. You can see right here the threads are, oh, actually, look at this. Right there. That looks like it's from over tightening of the screws. because if you tighten it too much, it'll just kind of like pull the threads right out. So that's probably what happened there. And the rest of these mostly look okay, but you can see down in here we've got some thread shavings down here. So if they would just not tighten these so much, then that would take care of that issue right there. But overall, that's one of the only issues I see with this. So not too bad, but it's such an easy thing to just not tighten the screws down so much. So maybe a little nitpicky, but easy fix though too. The inside of the bottom case under the board, it's a little dirty, has a little bit of debris in here. I don't know what that even is, or that. Looks like maybe, no, not Cheeto dust, something. So I mean, there's a few little spots of dirt, but I mean, I would expect that. I don't see any problem with that at all. Now with all the screws in and this top metal plate on, we can get the top back on, put the screws in, and then start it up. Also, I do want to mention how cool it is that Lukie Games did send an original zapper gun. This thing just feels better and looks better than any of the aftermarket ones out there. So I definitely appreciate that. This is a nice looking zapper gun. And as a side note, these don't work on flat screen TVs. They only work on the old style CRT TVs. So don't buy one of these from any of your refurbished shops expecting that it's gonna work on your brand new fancy TV, because it will not. Now let's get Super Mario 3 installed and see if it's gonna work. And here we go. Let's see if it's gonna turn on, and it does. And there we go. If you like this type of video, you'll probably want to watch the video where I bought a refurbished NES from DK Oldies. I'll put that video up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see the condition of that refurbished NES. Thanks again for watching today, and I hope you have a good one. Glad I'm done filming this. This is gonna be a good afternoon. Come here, mushroom.